Hey, good evening. Wanted to go over really quickly the top 5 picks that I have for short-term rentals here in Branson for you. And I want to share my screen with you and break down how I come about these and why I pick what I pick. So I'm going to share my screen with you real quick. So the first thing that I want to tell you is you can always access my top picks here, what's on my radar as far as investment properties in the area. You can look at my listings, short-term rental, long-term rental, flips, house hacks. I keep a running list on a daily basis. I run through new listings on the MLS, price reductions back on the market, even canceled and expired, so we can reach out to potential sellers off market as well that are worth investing. So my top picks for short-term rentals are currently 46 that I'm keeping an eye on. And just to save a whole lot of time here, earlier this evening, I scrubbed all 46 and came up with about, let's say, 15 properties that would be very good investment properties. But then I wanted to narrow that down even further. So divided that in half, got it to about 8 properties, and then narrowed it down to my absolute top 5, backed up with financials on some of these and a little bit of speculation on others. But let me go ahead and pull up those top 5. And here they are. And so what I want to do is go through each one of these deals with you in a little bit of detail and see if you have any interest in these. And so we'll start with this one here over at 15 Fade Lane. And what I really like about this property is several things. First off, the price point isn't bad for a 5-bedroom. That's pretty aggressive there. What I like is the 5 bedrooms, kind of a sweet spot here in Branson. Condos that went 2-3 bedrooms, stopped at 4 or 5. And then some of the lodges that they built are 7 bedrooms and up. So this is an untapped market here, or where there could be some really high demand. It also has the 2-car garage attached to it as well. And you've got a walk-in entry. And so those are the asset qualities that we like to look for. It also is right in the middle of Stonebridge. So you got the COA there. It's a gated community. And so we really like this deal. Looking back at financials, this unit, we can make a fair assumption based on prior years that it's going to generate $60,000 per year to be safe. So if we take $60,000 and run a 50% expense ratio on our revenues, that's going to give us an NOI of about $30,000. Then we're going to divide that into the purchase price of $525. That's going to give us about a 5.7% return. Okay, and this property, 5 and a 6% return. That's going to be right there with the mortgage payment. So this property is more or less a break even, but I like the legs that it has. And the reason why is because this is in Stonebridge here. And if we go to the map here and I show you where Stonebridge is at, this is an excellent location for Silver Dollar City. And they're doing development just down the road here too. So Silver Dollar City is expanding and people like to stay in Stonebridge. So having that 5-bedroom inventory, you could see revenues going up to 70, 75,000 in the next half decade or so. I really like the long-term outlook of a property like this. It is a half duplex, so you get away from that condo stuff. And then the furniture that they have in here, really high quality. It's not looking like you're going to do much in order to have this really turnkey and working for you. Set up very nicely, good countertops, washer and dryer. Everything looks really solid here. Okay. And so we talked about that's just shy of a 6% return. And so let's go to the next one on my list. So coming in at number 4 would be this one here at Ashley Marie. And I would say this is a good unicorn here. We've got a 1-building structure. I know we've looked at this before. This is the COA here pretty much. So you've got a lot of leniency is what you can do with this property. It's currently generating pretty good revenues, exceeding over $100,000. And so I think last year they did 108,000, but if we just budget for that 100,000 and have 50% expense ratio and then divide that into, let's say, 750, if we're able to pick it up for 700,000, put 50,000 into this property you're going to be looking at a 6.5% return, which is better than our last one, a 5-bedroom over in Branson West. This one, 8 bedrooms split up into 4 different units here. So this one's pretty solid, and you get that lake view. It's just in Kimberling City, which is out of our zone. However, this one's an exception to the rule. Going to our next one here, I'm going to take a look at this 1520 Acacia Club Road. And I'm thinking that it's going to be pretty interesting to go take a look at this one. I hear that it has a short-term rental permanent permit coming into effect and voted on in November here. So I'm sure they're going to get it because it's right next to a hotel resort right there on Acacia Club. But what we have here is 3 different units. And they didn't do a fantastic job marketing is because they listed this under commercial hospitality instead of residential or short-term rentals. Nobody's really looking at this one here. So that's indicative of their price reductions, and they're making big swings with it at $50,000. So that's going quite the ways here. But it doesn't really give us a whole lot of information about the assets. I think we're looking at maybe a 3-bedroom house and then a couple of off studio or 1-bedroom kind of apartments. But we are completely lakefront, and it's going to come with a private dock and a private slip here. So nobody's going to mess with that. That's going to convey with the property, and that's going to be worth quite a bit there. So overall, I think a property like this, a nice looking house, that's going to be a good 50, 60,000 revenues. And then you can figure a good at least 20,000 in each of the other units. So that puts a total around 100,000. Plus the value of the dock space. It's got a RV hookup outside, so certainly plenty of room to grow from there. But we're going to be conservative here and say it grosses 100K, and we're going to be at an NOI around 50K. We're going to divide that into, call it 750,000, just because we're going to make some improvements to this property and really get it going. And that's going to put us right at the 6.5% return again, right next to the fourplex on Ashley. So this one here, a good, better than break-even property, and I think it has a lot of potential down the road to really be quite the property, and maybe even worth closer to $1 million once it's optimized and revenue reaches 150,000 or so. I think that's possible here. Next on my list is one of my favorites here. This is 147 Grandview. And what we have here is, I call this a unicorn alert. And the reason why is because we're in Point Royale, which is excellent for generating revenue, always the top of Branson here. But we have a unicorn because we have an attached 2-car garage to this 3-bedroom. Not only that is we have walk-in entry. And walk-in entry is difficult to get in Point Royale, especially on a 3-bedroom. Most of them take advantage of the vaulted ceilings and are walk-up units only. This one is walk-in with the attached 2-car garage. And so that is definitely a unicorn in and of itself. They didn't do a great job marketing this. We've got a lot of special characteristics to this, and this is probably my favorite on the list. And I did a video on this property actually. And so if you're interested in taking the walkthrough tour with me, I did make this just over a month ago, and it's still on the market hitting price reductions. I liked it then. I love it now. This is an absolute steal at this price. And this video will tell you exactly why. And the math on that, what we're going to do is year 1, you're probably looking at generating around 50,000. Year 2, 60,000 is a good projection for this property. So if we look at $30,000 in NOI at the end of the day, we'll even be more conservative, go off of in between year 1 and year 2. So 55,000 divided by 2, 27.5 is going to be the NOI. And then we're going to divide that by the purchase price, need a little bit of money, maybe 10 grand into this deal. So we're just going to go off of probably get a discount and then put it right back into the property. So 340,000, we get this up to an 8% ROI, which is fantastic. So want to consider that one for sure. And our last one here on the list is going to be one at Thousand Hills. And this one's a bit off the radar here, and I'll tell you exactly why, is because much like the last one in Point Royale, this is a 3-bedroom and it's a walk-in entry. So that's rare in and of itself in Branson here, but the price point of $250,000 is very low for the 3-bedroom. Honestly, this one should probably be priced around $300,000, and that would be pretty solid. The revenue reports that we have on this one, in 2023, they did $46,000 in revenue, and in 2024, they did $45,000 in revenue. So what we're going to do is just work off that last number they did in 2024, where they did $45,000 in revenue. So we're going to say 22,500, and we're going to divide that into the 250 because I think we're going to need a little bit of work here. Okay, and that gets us up to a 9% ROI here, not changing much just because it's the right asset right here in the middle of town, a 3-bedroom walk-in. That's super affordable. This is a good deal in and of itself. The furniture is not great in this unit here, but they do have the upgrades that cost a lot. You're looking at granite countertops, upgraded fixtures, and those are LED there. We have upgraded appliances with the stove and the fridge, and the microwave, all matching stainless dishwasher. So that's a really good start. What I don't like is the tile flooring that we have left over in the kitchen. I'm not sure that this is going to be the LVP that we would want in a nightly rental. You can see they're missing opportunities, only having a couple of stools there, going on the cheaper side with their TV, old curtains here. So I could go all day long about improving this property and really make it something, but look at that, matching granite counters, really nice there. Then you go to the bedroom and it's got a TV from the 1990s. So a lot of room for improvement on the furniture side, the decoration. So flooring, paint, whatnot, spend about $15,000 redoing some things. So yeah, you would have close to $250 into it after your discount there. But like I said, still about a 9% return based on those numbers there. Overall, that is the rounding out the top 5 that I have for you guys. And if you would go through these, and if you see any that you like or have questions, want to run some deeper numbers on any specific one, or see some showings this weekend or next weekend, please reach out and let me know. We'll be in touch. So hope you enjoyed the video. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.